everyone, so welcome back to my channel. This is Storytime with Ankita, and in today's video we are going to read another story from Ruskin Bond, that is The Night the Roof Blew Off. So let's get started. We are used to sudden storms up here on the first range of the Himalayas. The old buildings in which we live has for more than 100 years received the full force of the wind as it sweeps across the hill from the east. We have lived in the building for more than 10 years without a disaster. It had even taken the shock of a severe earthquake. As my grandfather Dolly said, it's difficult to tell the new cracks from the old. It's two storey building, and I have on the upper floor with my family, my 3 grandchildren and their parents. The roof is made of uncorrugated tin sheets and ceiling of wooden boards. That's traditional Missouri roof. Looking back at the experience, it was the sort of thing that should have happened in a James Thurber story, like the dam that burst or the ghost got in. But I wasn't thinking of Thurber at the time, although a few of his books were among the many I was trying to save from the icy rain pouring into my bedroom. Our roof had held first in many a storm, but the wind that night was really furious. It came rushing at us with a high-pitched AC wail. The old roof groaned and protested. It took a battery for several hours while the rain lashed against the windows and the lights kept coming and going. There was no question of sleeping, but we were in bed for warmth and comfort. The fire had long since gone out, as the chimney had collapsed, bringing down a shower of sooty rainwater. After about 4 hours of buffeting, the roof could take it no longer. My bedroom faces east, so much my portion of the roof was the first to go. The wind got under it and kept pushing until, with a reaping groaning sound, the metal sheets shifted and slid off the rafters, some of them dropping with claps like thunder on the road below. So that's it, I thought. Nothing worse can happen. As long as the ceiling stays on, I'm not getting out of bed. We will collect our roof in the morning. Icy water splashing down on my face made me change my mind in a hurry. Leaping from the bed, I found that much of the ceiling had gone, too. Water was pouring on my open typewriter as well as on the bedside radio and bed cover. Picking up my previous typewriter, my companion for 40 years, I scrambled into the front sitting room and library, only to find a familiar situation there. Water was pouring through the slats of the wooden ceiling, reaching down to the open bookshelves. By now, I had enjoyed by the children who had come to my rescue. Their section of the roof haven't gone as yet. Their parents were struggling to close a window against the driving rain. Save the books! Shouted Dolly, the youngest one, and that became our ringly cry for the next hour or two. Dolly and her brother Mukesh picked up armfuls of books and carried them into their room. But the floor was awash, so the books had to be piled on their beds. Dolly was helping me gather up some of my papers when a large field rat jumped on to the desk in front of her. Dolly squirreled and ran for the door. "It's all right," said Mukesh, whose love of animals extends even to the field rats. "It's only shattering from the storm." Big brother Rakesh wrestled for our dog Tawny, but Tawny wasn't interested in rats just then. He had taken shelter in the kitchen, the only dry spot in the house. 2 rooms were now practically roofless, and we could see the sky lit up by flashing of lightnings. Were the fireworks indoors too, as water sprattered and plunged along a damaged wire. Then the lights went out together. Rakesh, at his best in an emergency, had already lit 2 kerosene lamps, and by their light we continued to transfer books, papers, and clothes to the children's room. We noticed that the water on the floor was beginning to subside a little. "What is going on?" asked Dolly. "Through the roof," said Mukesh, "down to the flat below." Cries of concern from our downstairs neighbors told us that they were having their share of the flood. Our feet was freezing because there haven't been time to put on proper footwear. And besides, shoes and slippers were awash by now. All chairs and tables were piled high with books. I hadn't realized the extent of my library until that night. The available beds were pushed into the driest corner of the children's room, and there, handed in blankets and quilts, we spent the remaining hours of the night when the storm continued. Towards morning, the wind fell, and it began to snow. Through the door to the sitting room, I could see snowflakes drafting through the gaps in the ceiling. Setting on picture frames, ordinary things like a glue bottle and a small clock took on a concerned beauty when covered with soft snow. Most of us dozed off when down there we found the window pines extincted with snow and icicles. The rising sun stuck through the gaps in the ceiling and turned everything golden. Snow crystals clustered on the empty bookshelves, but the books had been saved. Rakesh went out to find a carpenter and tinsmith, while the rest of us started putting things in the sun to dry. By evening, we had put much of the roof back on. It's a much improved roof now, and we look forward to the next storm with confidence. So that's set. The story has completed, and it was such a cool, calm story which suits with the season. So that's all for today's video. I will see you guys in my next video. Thanks for watching.